Okay, hey everybody, welcome to 7 Minutes in Heaven with D, Rob, and Kat, where we help you become the couple you've always wanted to be. Today we're talking about
Money.
money, 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 money.
Money.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, it's actually entitled Why We Fired Ourselves from Managing Our Own Money, which sounds really bad, and it is. But now we've kind of come through it all, and we want to tell you the story about that. But first, we really want to tell you something that's timely, is that we're having a financial management class at Harvey City Church, which is the church we go to. We're facilitating it with some fantastic people, and we go through the Dave Ramsey series. It's a 5-sermon series is what it's called, and it was transformational for us.
Yeah,
Like,
and whether or not you go to church, I don't care. You need to get your butt to this class because it'll revolutionize your finances.
And we're excited about that because when we fired ourselves about 3 years ago, it was because of these videos. It really was. And they're Dave Ramsey's videos, as I mentioned. And when I first watched them, I remember just being upset at myself.
Yeah, we both went to business school. We have degrees in business.
Yeah.
And Derek got the highest mark in accounting, which is crazy to me. And
She was terrible.
I worked so hard. I found typos in the textbook, okay? That's how hard I studied, and I still sucked. Anyway, we found that we were going backwards every month, and we found ourselves in $15,000 of consumer debt outside of our mortgage, and we were going backwards every month, especially when we moved into the bigger house because we were growing our family. But then I went on mat leave, and the cushion that we used to have was gone because my income got severely reduced.
Yeah. And so we were actually using our credit line for a bit to pay off our visa because, there was a grace period there that we're kind of using and then using the credit line and then kind of catching up later. And it was just starting to get bad is what was going on. We're going backwards every month. And we're like, how did this happen? And I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody.
We're supposed to be business grads and
We're supposed to be so smart.
good at math and stuff.
And we weren't that good. And so what we decided to do was listen to what Dave Ramsey talks about, and that's do some grade 3 math for your finances.
Yeah.
And it's simply get on a budget.
It felt a little bit insulting to our own intelligence
It did,
to just spend less than you make, which is grade 3 math.
Yeah.
But it was harder to do in practice, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I remember when we got on this budget, we started it off and we were not good at it. We were very annoyed with each other because we're fighting about what's going to be in the budget and what's not going to be. And by the end of it, though, we kind of got sort of a peace about our finances because we got agreement on what we were going to spend. We knew what everything was going to go towards, and it was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. And then all of a sudden, we started getting out of debt. We paid off all of our consumer debt, and we got an emergency fund, which is actually the first thing Ramsey recommends. The second is get out of all your mortgage debt, which we did very quickly within just a few months. And now we've been able to save up about 3 to 6 months income in an emergency fund. And man, that thing's nice to have there. I'm not going to lie. We don't have to worry about being paycheck to paycheck anymore. And we have lots of, extra money at the end of the month because we know how to budget now. We know how to live below our means.
Yeah, and the start of the budget was a little bit tricky and annoying for sure because you make something and you think it's good, and then I think for us, I put in the grocery budget $400 for a whole month. We spend a solid $1,000 on groceries every month, so I was way off. It took a couple months of adjusting and then really a full year to see those one-off annual expenses that kind of pop up, like insurance renewals and stuff like that. So it was a learning curve, and when we first implemented it, we felt really, really restricted because we had a clothing budget of $0 for a long time.
That's hard for a girl. I didn't have any problem because I'm perfect and I don't want anything, but she had a major problem. No, and we actually had no clothing budget for at least a year, I think it was. But now, the cool thing is we just went to a conference in Winnipeg and we saved up money for 2 years and we went on a big shopping spree for clothing because we saved up for it.
And we didn't need to feel bad about it because we had money saved in the bank and we were paying cash and no regrets.
Yeah, and the fights about money, they don't really happen anymore. We might have a disagreement over the odd thing, but we had the same vision kind of going forward for our finances, and that is huge. I can't tell you how much that saves a relationship when you're not fighting about money. That's actually the biggest reason why people get divorced and screw up their lives is because they're fighting about money. Yep. And then the second biggest thing is sex. And the problem is if you have money issues, you're probably not having a lot of sex because you're fighting about money. So I think those two things are actually
Good luck with that.
yeah, fairly interlocked. But yeah, it really allowed us to actually give a lot more too, which was definitely a passion for cats, not of mine at the start, because I'm stingy and a Mennonite, and so I didn't want to give anything away. But she wanted to, and now we give. I guess we're comfortable sharing this, but I guess
We give 10% of our gross income for sure.
A little
and
more
then
sometimes.
a little more if we can, because we just want to be generous people. And that's one of the biblical principles of wealth. It's kind of the upside down kingdom of God. Don't ask me how, but once we started giving more away money, we made more money. I get that it doesn't make logical sense, but for God, it does.
yeah, I don't know why it works at all, to be honest. Because it's like, why are we giving away all this money? Sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so stupid. And then all of a sudden you realize that the money just sort of comes back to you. It is, it's a reaping and a sowing. That is like a principle that is built into everything that we do in life, especially, if we're from Saskatchewan, so agriculture. If you're not sowing something, you won't reap anything. And it's the same thing with giving of your time and your money. Is if you're not giving any money away, you're not opening up any channel for you to be blessed a lot of the times. And I think people can kind of see that in you if you're sort of a stingy person, which I have always kind of been, but I'm working hard on not doing that.
Derek has come a long way.
I have.
But it is attractive. Generous people are attractive. I don't know what it is about it, but so.
And it just bothers me because if we would have been doing this when we first got married, we'd be in a completely different financial position than we are right now. Like we're good right now because we've been doing this for 3 years, but we could have been so much further ahead. And that's why I was so mad that I didn't know about these principles and a different way to think about money than the rest of the world thinks. And that's pretty much all we have time for today, but we want to just leave you with that kind of idea that you can transform your life by transforming your finances, and it starts with a budget. And at this finance class that we're helping facilitate, that's the one thing we get people to do is by the end of this thing, you got to be on a budget. You got to have all your debts laid out and a plan to pay off your debts, and start developing a vision and a why going forward of why you want to save and why you want to invest and why you want to give. And so it's a huge, huge benefit. Doesn't matter if you're a churchy person or not. I don't know if that's the correct term, churchy.
It doesn't matter if you go to church or not. The biblical principles do work, but just because we say biblical principles, don't get frightened by that or scared off by that. It just works. I promise you, it's going to be amazing. And before we sign off, if you have any questions about money, let us know. We'd love to talk about them for the month of November, pretty much. We're going to be tackling some finance topics. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions.
Yep. So see you later. See you next time. Let us know.